Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, or hello, or welcome if you're new. As you can tell, I don't have a solid intro, but we'll just skip over that because I have a very exciting video. I love blush, you love blush, we all love blush. So I thought I would talk about my favorite blushes today. I'm so excited, I can't even begin to tell you. I have a lot of blush and I love a lot of blush. So I have a lot of blush to talk about. Both formula and color. It's kind of a mix of both. Some I have multiple shades in. Some blushes I only have one shade in. So anyway, you get the deal. Sorry if there's the low hum of a truck outside. It's Saturday at 5 p.m. so I'm really not sure why they're doing any work, but this is just Bal Media's continued attempt to ruin my life. Anyway, let's just roll on, shall we? I'm going to talk about creams and then powders, and within those categories I'm going to talk about drugstore stuff first and then high-end. So, starting off with cream blushes, let's start off with a bang. I've talked about this before, the Milani Cheek Kiss Cream Blush. I have the shade Nude Kiss, which is like a rosy, pinky rosy kind of shade, but I also recently purchased the cream blush palette. I wasn't sure whether or not this was going to be the same formula as the singles, and I've only used one shade in this, but so far, based on my experience, I think it is the same formula, just in palette form, and I believe they only have one shade colorway of this. It's called Sun-Kissed Glow, but I think they only have one kind of, I think they have a cream blush palette and a powder blush palette. But anyway, I really love these blushes. I honestly think they perform like high-end blushes. They're balmy, but they're a little bit thinner, so they're not super thick if you don't like thick blush products or thick creams on your face, and they do eventually set down, but there is a slight dew to them. They're pigmented, buildable, but still really blendable, and I just think if you're looking for a cream blush from the drugstore, these are really nice. I really enjoy these a lot. And one product that not everyone likes but I really love is the e.l.f. Putty blushes. I only have one shade, but I really enjoy it. And I know this color is super trendy right now. I personally have always loved Cool Tone Pink blush, so just better than everyone else. But this is the shade Bora Bora, if you're curious. This is a little bit thicker in comparison than the Milani blushes. Almost like a cream to powder formula. Very similar if you've tried the bronzers from e.l.f., like the Putty bronzers, almost exactly the same formula. I personally find these really easy to use. Again, I find them really lightweight. I like that they have a more matte finish. I just find them easy to blend, easy to build. I don't think they get patchy, they don't lift up. If you don't like a super dewy blush or anything with a lot of emolliency to it, I think these are a really good option. Probably the most affordable, or one of the most affordable blushes that I'm going to talk about. Probably the most affordable cream blush that I'm going to talk about for sure. And I really want to try the luminous versions of these and just get other shades, but I have really been enjoying this a lot. I only have those for drugstore cream blushes that I've really fallen in love with. So let's move on to high-end, starting off with the LYS Higher Standard Satin Matte Cream Blush in the shade Kindness. I have this one shade, but I do really want more. I think that this is a beautiful, almost whipped, balmy consistency. It has a little bit of a thicker consistency, but it feels really soft still. It's not stiff or anything, and it's really satisfying to apply. Again, it kind of has a matte, it's it does say satin matte, so it does have more of a matte formula, but it's not dry. And the e.l.f. one has almost like almost feels like it has a little bit of like silicone or something in it to make it a little bit more matte. This has like a natural matte finish, but it feels like a cream, like a whipped cream blush. And it's just a really, really easy to use. Am I recording? Yes. Oh my god, I nearly had a heart attack. A really, really easy to use, foolproof product that just looks really, really nice on your skin, is really long wearing. They have a ton of shades, and I honestly, and it's quite affordable-ish, like it's on the lower end of the price range in terms of cream blushes at Sephora. I think it's like $22 Canadian, which I think is really, really good. Another one of my long-time faves, which you've heard me rave about before, is the Fenty Beauty Freestyle Cheeks Out Freestyle Cream Blush. I have the shade Rosé Latte, but this is also one that I really, really want another shade in. This again is very like middle of the road in a lot of ways, but in like all of the best ways. It's a little thicker than like the Milani ones, for example, and other ones that I'm going to talk about, but it's not super thick. Like it's thinner than the LYS one. For example, it doesn't feel as like whipped almost as the LYS one, and it's pigmented again, but really easy to build and blend. And this obviously is a little bit of a deeper shade, but I have no issues blending it out. It doesn't get patchy, doesn't lift up any makeup underneath, and also specifically this shade is beautiful. It's like a burnt rosy like brown, and to me this is like the most perfect like sunburnt color. So I'm in love with the shade, but I also really, really love the formula. It's not necessarily a cream to matte, like it doesn't have a matte finish, it kind of just has like a natural like satin finish, so it's not really, really dewy, which I think is nice as well, because not everyone loves a super dewy cream blush, frankly. Next up, another really popular one that I also love is the Tower 28 Beach Please Luminous Tinted Balm in the shade Magic Hour. This is like a rosy shade with a little bit of brown to it. This is one of the thicker formulas. It very much feels like a dense kind of balm, and it is quite pigmented. Like it has probably one of the more intensely pigmented formulas of the blushes that I'm going to talk about today, but I really, really love this as well. There's something super, super satisfying to apply about this. There's something very satisfying to apply. There's something incredibly satisfying about applying this blush. Just the consistency and the way it like melts into your skin is really beautiful. Again, similar to the Fenty in that it has like a kind of just like very natural finish. It's not super, super dewy. And you don't have to layer it a ton because it is like a little bit more densely pigmented, so you don't have to like go back and add layers and layers and layers. I love this one. I reach for it all of the time, but I also, the shade specifically I feel like goes with a lot, but I do want to try more formulas. So with the blushes from Tower 28 specifically, I feel like the hype is real. Fucking hate that cream bronzer that they have or whatever. It's horrible, but the blushes I really, really like. This is one that I have multiple shades of, but I also adore the formula, the Melt Cream Blush Lights. I have 3 shades. I'm going to talk specifically about 2 that I love the most. These are actually the 2 newer ones that I bought on Black Friday. This is the shade Sandy Cheeks, which is like a burnt orange. These feel like not oily. I don't want to say oily because I feel like that maybe gives a negative connotation, but they're very light. They're very light in consistency. They don't feel overly like thick or super balmy like the LYS or the Tower 28. They feel a little bit more similar to the Milani ones if you've tried those in consistency, but I feel like they're a little bit more pigmented than the Milani ones. The Milani ones are a little bit more on the sheer side when you compare all the different formulas, but these are so easy to use. They're light but also pigmented, so I find you don't have to go in and add a ton of layers, but they still blend out just like a dream. The other one that I really, really love is the shade Daydreamer. I think this has a little bit of shimmer to it, but I don't really notice it that much. This is like a mulled wine, like almost like brownie red, and obviously this is quite deep and I'm quite fair, but just because they're so blendable, I use this all the time. I don't have issues with it at all, and I think they're such a really, really easy, foolproof formula. Again, not super, super dewy on the cheeks, which I think makes them more user-friendly for more people, and I would highly recommend them. If you're not super into cream blush, but you want to try to get into it, or you want to try one, the Melt or the LYS, I would say, are like the best. Then we have a longtime love of mine, one that I've raved about for so long. This was actually sent to me, but I swear I'm gonna pan this. This is the Merit Flush Balm in the shade Cheeky. The formula and the shade of this I love. The shade is like a pinky shade with a little bit of berry to it. I don't even know how I'm swatching these, to be honest, but I just want to swatch them so I can like know what I'm talking about as I'm talking about it. But this shade is like a pink with a little bit of berry to it, and I feel like it makes it more unique than a lot of pinks that I have. But there's something about the formula of this that is so just good. It's so good. This is one that's a little bit sheerer and does need to be built up a little bit more, but it has the most beautiful, like almost glossy finish to the cheeks, and that's coming from someone who doesn't love a super like emollient, dewy, glossy blush, but there's something about this that just makes your cheeks look so healthy, glowy, but it doesn't fade, it doesn't break up your makeup, and it just is divine. I love the texture of this. It's a little bit thinner again, so if you don't like a super thick blush, this is a really, really good one. A little bit more on the expensive side, but honestly, chef's fucking kiss. And then we have the Rare Beauty blush. I don't understand why Rare Beauty doesn't write the full name of their products on the product themselves, but this is the matte version of their liquid blushes. I have the shade Love. What an interesting blush formula this is. People aren't fucking joking when they say you don't need a lot of this. Like one, and you don't even believe it. Like I didn't even believe it. I was like, I like a lot of blush, so you know, I'm not gonna be like one fucking dot and blend. But yeah, truly. Truly it is one dot. And this is truly a matte blush. Like it definitely has a matte effect on your cheeks, but you get a lot of playtime with it. I was a little, like I had a moment of panic when I first started using this, or I first applied this blush, because I was like, this is a matte blush, it's gonna look patchy as hell. And I found that I basically had enough playtime to like blend it in as much as I needed before it fully set. And honestly, I feel like you can manipulate it for a good amount of time. Like it does, as you can see, like set down, but I really, really do feel like you have a lot of playtime with it, even though it really doesn't feel like you're going to when you first apply it to your cheeks. It's really long wearing though. Really, really nice. I feel like I really, really like this, and especially for me as a blush lover, I love like the longevity of it. I love how pigmented it is, and I love the finish. I really enjoy this product, but I actually find it interesting how widely loved it is, just because I feel like with people, like my roommate loves these blushes, for example, and she really doesn't wear that much makeup, and I feel like a product like this could be, or I would think it might be intimidating to people who don't wear a lot of makeup, but I think because it's really is so easy to blend and easy to manipulate, it's easier to look past how intensely pigmented it is. But I really think that this is one of the more unique blush products on the market, and I really, really love it. And I love the shade as well. I don't have really any blushes like this, even though I kind of thought I might. It truly is like a really beautiful terracotta shade, and I love it. This next product, I'm wearing it on my cheeks today. I've only used this twice, but I'm including it in this video. I was even I was raving about this to my roommate. I tried it for the first time yesterday. The Danessa Myricks Vision Flush Lip, Cheek, and Eye Color in the shade Ballet Slippers is sent from heaven above. I even changed my plan for my eyeshadow today because I wanted to use this blush. It's actually a very similar shade to the Rare Beauty Love, kind of like a peachy terracotta, and I feel like similar to the Rare Beauty, it also is like very thin and intensely pigmented, and also blends itself. Literally it blends itself. With the Rare Beauty, I don't tend to apply it directly to my cheeks. I just find it a little bit easier to use just like off the back of my hand kind of thing. But this, I slap it on, blend it out. And I think that this wins over the Rare Beauty because it's just so easy to use and it leaves such a beautiful finish to your cheeks. I said this in the Get Ready With Me that I used this in, but I think if you're someone who doesn't set your cream blush, you're gonna love this if you haven't already tried it, because it just leaves your cheeks looking like it has a healthy glow, but not like greasy or super like Vaseline-y dewy kind of thing. I think it's such a beautiful product. I mean, Danessa Myricks is such a vision. Her artistry is just beyond, so I would expect nothing less. But I want to buy every blush shade that she has in this line now, and I'm blown away by how much I love this. This is one of like truly my top favorite cream blushes. Would recommend. If you haven't tried it, would highly recommend. So that's it for my exclusively powder blushes. I do have one kind of blush that doesn't really fit into either category. The I said that so weird. Category. Patrick Ta Double Take Cream and Powder Blush in the shade She's So LA. I have thoughts about this. I've lusted after this blush product, like these Patrick Ta blushes, forever. And I was so hyped to get it. And I truly love it. In the time that I've had it, I've used it so much. I love the fact that it's a cream and powder in the same shade, because I always use powder and cream blush together. I love it. I love the shade. It's like a warm, it looks like it's gonna be almost a bronzer shade, but it has a little bit of a rosiness to it almost that gives it like a blush look. The cream in this is actually not what I was necessarily expecting. It's a very like true balm in that it's a little bit lighter in pigment. It feels, okay, my camera just really cut me off, but I was saying it truly feels like a balm. Like this, I can't describe it any other way in that it's like, imagine a balm in your mind, what a balm feels like a lip balm, and this is what this Patrick Ta balm feels like. So yeah, not like super heavy in pigment. I know whatever Patrick Ta says you're supposed to use this over your blush. I don't do that, but it's nice, especially because I think that, or I know that this powder blush is pretty pigmented, so I think they just make like a really nice little combo, and I don't know. I wouldn't reach for, I like the combination of the two. I wouldn't reach for the balm to use by itself, if that makes sense. I might reach for the powder blush to use by itself, but I'm not so blown away by the balm, like the cream blush product or cream blush part of this blush duo, that I would be like, oh, I'm gonna use the Patrick Ta cream blush, but I reach for this specific product a lot. I really like it, and I really think that the true like pull of this product is the fact that they are a duo, in my opinion. I think they shine best together rather than as individual blushes. That's kind of my thing. But I do think that it's overpriced for what it is. But I guess you technically get two blushes. But anyway, so those are my cream blushes. Now I'm going to move on to powders. I have a lot of e.l.f. blushes here that I want to talk about. e.l.f. has really killed the blush game for me. I have 3 bite-sized blush duos from them that I want to talk about specifically, but I love every shade of them. I actually have every shade of them. The one that I've had for the longest, as I just dig my finger into this, is the shade White Peach, which is just a really light peach. I reach for this a ton anytime I want a peach blush. I really like the powder, and what am I trying to say? I think the powders are really smooth, really easy to use, blend beautifully, don't get patchy, pigmented, but still easy to blend. I truly have no issues with them. I don't really see these as like blush and highlight. I just tend to mix the 2 shades together. This is the shade Spiced Apple. That's more of like a rosy kind of brown, a lighter rosy brown. And then the shade Lychee is more of like a pink, a rosy brown with more pink to it. So I really, really love these shades specifically, but those blushes in general. Speaking of cool toned pink blushes, forget the fucking Dior blush. This really cheap e.l.f. blush in the shade Bright Pink, buy this instead. I mean, I haven't used the Dior blush, but as someone who has loved cool tone pink blushes forever, I really like this. I do find that it fades a little bit throughout the day, but it's literally $3, so I don't fault it too much. But in terms of formula, like, it's pigmented, it blends really easily. I really, really, really like it. I think it's very easy to use. It's a really nice powder. And then the blush that I have truly fallen in love with this year is the primer infused blush from e.l.f. This is the shade Always Rosy. I wish that they would expand their range, because I feel like they should have like 50 blush shades in this range, but this is a beautiful like rosy shade with a little bit of brown to it. This to me performs like a high-end powder. It's so finely milled, easy to blend. The way it just goes on your skin is like so silky smooth, and it just is such a beautiful blush. I mean, blush can only do so much, you know? They can only be so different, but it's really, really top notch. 2 other blushes that I've loved for a really, really long time. The Burt's Bees Blush in Toasted Cinnamon. I mean, I use it all the time. It's one of my go-to like neutral blushes. It's like a light brown with a yellow undertone to it. Please excuse the truck. I don't know what they're doing. I really, just listen to me, okay? I can't control it. I'm so sorry. But another really beautiful cool toned pink blush is the shade Shy Pink. Another option that's more affordable than the Dior one if you were looking for that. And again, these blushes are just really nice. You know, powder blush, what you're looking for. You want it to blend, not be patchy, build for me at least, and they do all the things. This Wet n Wild Color Icon blush in the shade Keep It Peachy has really been there for me. I love these blushes as well. I think they're so beautiful. They're really, really great affordable blushes. Again, like really thin, really finely milled. Go on your cheeks beautifully, like blend beautifully. And this shade in specific I reach for a lot, but all of the Color Icon blushes from Wet n Wild are really, really nice. This is one that's I mean, it's a favorite from everyone, but I've recently gone on the Luminoso train. This is the Milani Baked Powder Blush in Luminoso. It's like, we're almost at the end, so just bear with me. It's just a really beautiful glowy peach blush, and it has just like the perfect amount of shimmer and like glow to it where it makes you look really healthy and glowy, but not shimmery, really. So I love this, but so does everyone. I'm just really late. But one I feel like people need to talk about more, maybe people already talk about it a lot, but the NYX Sweet Cheeks blushes are so good. This is the glow version, the shade Daydream. The most beautiful glowy coral blush. I've hit pan on this blush because I love it so much. This is like highlighter adjacent in the level of glow that it has, but it is beautiful. If you like a glowy blush, this makes your cheeks look so glowy, so healthy. It's so pretty. So would highly recommend checking these out. I haven't tried the matte version, but I want to. And now let's move on to higher end powder blushes, and let's just get it out of the way. If you watch me, you already know that I'm going to talk about the Pat McGrath Labs Skin Fetish Divine Blush in the shade Desert Orchid. This is my perfect blush. I would choose this blush to keep if I had to get rid of all my blushes. It is one of my favorite makeup products ever, just full stop, not only blush. And I mean, I love the formula and I love the color. It's the most beautiful, like sunburnt, rosy brown, and it performs like a dream. I think it's worth the price. Sue me. Another longtime love of mine is the Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo in Mimosa Sunrise and Sangria Sunset. I haven't been using it as much recently, but I still adore it. I think technically these are supposed to be highlighters, but they make you look glowy without looking like you used a highlighter as a blush. And if you like bright blush, and they're still available, I hope so, get them, because they are gorgeous, bright, glowy blushes. I also want to give this an honorable mention because I don't think I've used it enough necessarily to fully warrant being a full favorite, but the Melt Digital Dust Highlight in the shade Genesis is the most beautiful peachy pink glowy blush. I really like these Digital Dust highlighters as blushes in the deeper shades. I also have the shade Phoenix, but this is gorgeous. I thought it might look too gold at first, but it really just looks like a beautiful peachy pink glowy blush, and I have been absolutely loving it. It's just quite expensive, but I bought that on Black Friday for a very good deal. And then again, I have to mention my Likely Makeup blush palettes because these are, apart from the Pat McGrath blush, my favorite blushes ever. I've talked about them incessantly. The Clown Blush palette is divine. It's divine. I mean, I truly feel like Likely Makeup has perfected blush. And then the Fairy Blush palette is also a favorite. I don't use it as much just because of the shades. I don't use this teal or purple very often, but another dupe for the Dior blush, the shade Rose Quartz, is one of my all-time favorite blushes. I love the shade Sunstone. They are a little bit lighter. I feel like Clam Blush will work for everyone. Fairy Blush has a little bit, the shades are lighter and also some more unusual blush shades, but I want Likely Makeup to release more products because I just love them with my whole entire heart. And then I want to talk about one blush in a palette. I do really love this blush palette from Melt, the Monarcha blush palette, don't get me wrong, but the shade Sonrisa has my heart. It's the most beautiful like caramel shade. It's so nice. Excuse you. I love all the shades in here, but this is truly beyond. I also really love this bright pink called Floor. But yeah, I mean, I think you can probably get this on a pretty decent sale. So I really do like this. Also, if you are curious and you see it on a deep discount, I'm just putting it out there. And also, I have to mention my Colored Rain. This is the Power collab, but they do have these blush duos as permanent blush and highlighter duos in their range. And I can't remember, I'll put it on the screen, the actual shade name, but this is like the red and icy highlighter. Although it's not really icy, it's more of like a sheer just sparkle. But anyway, I love me a red blush. Again, I haven't been doing red blush as much, but this is a really beautiful red blush. You can sheer it out because obviously I am very fair and it doesn't get patchy. It's really easy to manipulate. I also love the highlighter in here, so the Colored Rain blushes I would highly recommend checking out as well. And that concludes this blush video. Please let me know your favorite blushes in the comments because I'm literally always down to try a new blush. And I hope this video was helpful or enlightening or entertaining. Yeah, and I can't wait to do a part 2 with all new blushes that I collect. Anyway, I will leave this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I would love to see you in my next one. Bye, guys.